Hello everyone, welcome to This Designs. My name is Florence. In this video, I'll be showing you how I make this off-shoulder ruffle using organdi fabric. So if you're interested, please keep on watching. Thank you. So I'm going to show you how I get the measurements for the off-shoulder. I'm going to measure the back. See that this is completely finished. So I'm going to measure the back, the length at the back, and then the one at the front too, and also measure how much space I want between the front and the back as the armhole for the person wearing it. So you're going to measure that from about 8 inches to 11 inches, depending on the size of the person's arm and how comfortable they would be. Okay, so I'm using satin lining as the base for my ruffles. That is where the ruffles will sit, and as you can see here, it's on fold on both sides. So I'm going to first of all measure my top line, which will be what I use as a marker so that I have an accurate line, or as accurate as possible. And then for the width of um the the base, I guess it's going to be 5 inches, but on fold it will be 10 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance at 11 inches, which is what I used here. Also, as you can see, this is on fold. The total length of the ruffles will be about 46 inches, which is on fold will be 23 plus 1 inch seam allowance. I hope you understand, but yeah, it's not difficult. Just the total round measurement of the off shoulder is 46 inches. That's including seam allowance. In half is 23 inches. That's what I'm using here. And then the ruffles is going to sit on a 5-inch base. But since this is on, it's not on fold, but imagine it being on fold, then it's going to be 5 inches. If you have any questions, you can just put that in the comment section and I'll answer. So this is the total length of the ruffles, or where the ruffles will sit, as you can see. So this is 46 inches in total, and then the 5 inches, it means that I'm going to fold it this way as I'm doing here. So this is going to give me the 5 inches plus the half-inch seam allowance on both sides. I'm also going to iron interfacing on this to give it more structure so that it can stand firmly. Okay, so next is the organdi, and I'm just showing that there's a front and a back. So check with the fabric that you've bought. I have 5 yards here that I'm using for this project, and I'm going to put both edges of the organdi together. That's where I'm going to sew just one long straight stitch all the way through the 5 yards. So I'm putting both edges together on the wrong side and sewing that so that I don't have to cut out anything. I'm using the full length of the organdi. Okay, now as you can see, the base now is it's all finished, nice and neat. So next thing I'm going to do is my organdi, which is already prepped and ironed for this next part. So as you can see, that stitch line is showing very well, but this will be at the back, so it will be facing the front, and then it's also in the middle here. So I've ironed it so that it's at the middle and not at the edges. Okay, so next I'm going to get the midpoint of the organdi and run a straight line, and then I'm going to decide how much ruffles I want, about 5 inches or 1.5. I think I used 1.5 inches here and just marked from either sides of that midline all the way to the end. It's important that you calculate I did the calculation. I need a 4.5 inches was going to be enough for the whole thing. But if you think that you know your fabric is not enough, I think you should calculate it so that you can have fullness like I do. Okay, so next on the base, I'm going to mark the amount of lines that I have on the organza. So if you have 15 lines, you're going to mark 15 lines on your base, which is not the amount, but you count it and then you put it there. Next, you're going to run gather stitch on all those lines like I did here, and I also overlocked the edges so that it's nice and neat. So I'm going to gather every single line, or if you have up to 25 or 25 lines, if you have up to 60 or 60 lines, I'm just going to run a gather stitch through all of them and then gather them. Okay, this is what you should have after you've run your gather stitch through all of them. Now I'm going to show you how I finish the edges of this ruffles. You can see here now I'm going to put the right side and the wrong side together, so that way when I sew it, this is how the edge will look. I will do it for both edges before sewing in between. It should look like this. You can slow down the video and see what I did. I don't really know how to explain it, but that's what I'm doing for both edges, just so that the edges are nice and neat. And this is what I do. But if you think this is still difficult, please do it how you prefer. Next, I'm going to now start matching every gathers or every line of the organdy to the baseline, starting from the middle. As you can see, I marked it. I marked it with pins, and I'm just going to, stitch that down from the middle. It's essential. It's from the middle so that you don't make mistakes. And then the next one, I'm going to put it there, and then the next one, I'm going to stitch it down, not gather stitch anymore. A strong, straight stitch. And that's what I'm going to do the whole way. This is what you should have when you're done. This process is very tedious and takes a lot of time, so make sure that you have enough patience for this. But this is what it looks like when you're done. Very beautiful. Next, I'm going to show you how I attach it to the dress. Now, first of all, I'm going to start from the back, which is like the most important for me. So I'm going to open the zipper and then match the back to the ruffles. Right, I'm going to start from the back, then get the midpoint and match the midpoint to the front too. But I always start from the back, which is easier for me. So however it is that I'm going to sew it, I'm going to use a whipping stitch. I'm using needle and thread to attach this all the way down, and also making sure that it doesn't touch the zipper at all in any way, so my thread can't go through the zipper and it can't just stitch it as close to the zipper as possible, but not on top of it. Here, I'm going to be showing you how I use my hand needle and thread to stitch it. I use a whipping stitch or a whip stitch to do this because I think this would hold it firmer and tighter, and it's not loose in any way. So the stitches are very tightly close together. Also I'm using a beading needle, so it's very slim and very easy to pick up the ruffle fabric or the ruffle base and also the lace that I'm working with, and just watch it and do as I do because I can't explain a whip stitch. But just I'm just going over it again and again and again all through. So the reason that I use my hand to sew this is because it wouldn't go through the machine at all, and if I use the machine, it will be a weaker stitch and it could tear easily when the person starts moving. So it's best to use your hands to just sew this on. This is what it should look like when you're done sewing. It's very nice and sturdy, and you can't really tell that it was hand stitched, as you can see. So this is what I'm going to do on the other side and at the front too. This is why it's important to take the measurement first of all from the dress, and then add the allowance from both arms so that it can go around without restricting your client too much. So by the end of the day, by the time I zip it up, it should not affect the zipper in any way. This is what it should look like when you're done, because I've finished sewing both parts. And by the time you zip it up, you can see that it's covering the zipper completely, so it's just giving it full ruffles beauty. Even though it's so close to the zipper, it's like covering it completely, and it's so beautiful. So if you have any questions, you can just send it, put it in the comments, and I'll get back to you. But this is pretty easy, right? I would say so. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.